Hello, and welcome to another edition of One Bad Veggies Root Beer Review, where in this review, we're gonna party like it's Root Beer Review 99. So yeah, this review is going to be for BJ's Root Beer, which BJ's is a restaurant chain that's kind of, I'm not sure if it's regional or national, but I know that they must be national because I'm pretty sure that, like, we have some around here, but I've also know other people that have them out wherever. But never been to one myself, so I do know that they do serve their root beer there as a draft root beer, and I have heard that it's pretty good. But otherwise, not a whole lot of history or anything like that. I mean, if you get into the history of the root beer, you're more or less going to be getting into the history of the restaurant. And the restaurant's more of a brewery that just has root beer that they sell there. Which, usually a brewery that makes its own root beer is usually pretty good. So otherwise, not a whole lot to say about the history and everything of this one. So let's go ahead and just get into the ingredients. So yeah, let's get into the ingredients, which should be appearing right here. And yes, that is a list of ingredients floating right there. It's pretty impressive. Now, most of these are interesting. I love the fact that it says root beer flavoring, and then underneath that it just says natural flavoring. Like, just say natural flavoring. That's weird to me. And then caramel color, which as far as I know is not a flavor. So that's kind of strange too. And you've got the gum acacia or whatever it is, which from my understanding is more of like an agent that you put in something to help it froth, and that kind of gives it like its nice foam and stuff like that. Go ahead and take a look at the bottle here while we keep talking about the ingredients. And I was going to say during the intro, and I totally forgot, was that sadly, I heard recently that BJ's is moving from glass bottled root beer over into canned root beer. And that's sad because you all know how much of a snob I am, and I don't review canned root beers yet. And so it makes it sad for me. Apparently too, you can get growlers from the actual restaurants and stuff, so that's nice too. But yeah, and I do like the logo here. Yeah, the BJ's is so interesting. The BJ's logo is way up high and it's not really noticeable. But another thing I like about it too is that this isn't like a sticker. It's like embossed onto the bottle. It's really kind of nice. Maybe that's why they're moving to cans, because it's probably cheaper than keeping on making these fancy bottles. But okay, more on the ingredients here. So yeah, you got your sodium benzoate, you got your citric acid, maltodextrin. Maltodextrin is interesting. I know that's something that they put into like beers and stuff like that. I know it's has something to do with glucose and stuff. So it's not good. I know it's especially bad for people with diabetes. Although if you had diabetes, maybe don't be drinking root beer. Maybe that's a bad idea because sugar. Also, propylene glycol alginate, which is kind of like, the best way I can describe it is like a food grade antifreeze. I guess it's apparently put into some drinks to make sure that they don't freeze. And then calcium chloride, which I think I've seen in other drinks before. I can't quite remember, but calcium chloride is basically like a salt that you add to, it's really soluble in water and stuff like that. So, but just interesting, just a lot of, and then I didn't say anything, but I the fact that they have, like, it says maltodextrin from corn, and then for the root beer flavoring, like I said, I was making fun of it before, how it has the list of what's in the root beer flavoring, which I find very funny because it just says root beer flavoring and the natural flavors. That's so stupid to me. Anyway, But also with the sodium benzoate and the citric acid, it said to preserve the flavors of the root beer, which I didn't put on there because it would just make that list even longer. And we know that citric acid and sodium benzoate are preservatives. So anyway, yeah, this is probably the most I've actually talked about the ingredients of any of these root beers because I found it kind of interesting, just how much there is, and then the kind of stuff that I've never seen before in a root beer specifically. So yeah, let's go ahead and crack it open and see how it smells. All right, let's go ahead and get it open here. A little crack there. Let's see, is it a pop top or is it a twist? It is. That's a pop top. All right, let's pop it off. It does not want to come up though. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and take. I dropped the. Anyway. Ooh, I like it. It smells yummy. No, as far as how it smells, it's sweet. It's a sweet smell. It's very normal. I don't, there's not. Let me take another sniff. I've noticed I usually need to take another sniff of these things nowadays. It's just, there's definitely like a tinge of vanilla and stuff in there. I think it's almost so sweet that it almost just kind of smells like vanilla being such like a kind of like a natural sugary flavor or scent as well. But there's not a whole lot sticking out. If I was thinking that the flavor of this one is going to be similar to the scent right now, we're going to say it's probably pretty middle of the road, but we haven't quite gotten that far yet. So let's go ahead and get out the mug and let's check out the foam and the pour on this one. And here it is, the trusty mug. Trusty as always. Let's go ahead and pour this root beer into this mug. Let's do that. Oh, now look at that. I had to stop immediately because I already know that that's going to overflow right onto the coaster. So that's tall. That's a tall head right there. I mean, it's impressive for sure. Oh, look how much it's going down though. How fast it goes down. That's interesting. Now that is super weird. So you start out with this tall head and now it's gone. It's completely gone. That's so weird. I mean, there's nothing to try now, but I mean, here, let me switch back over here so I can show you the inside of this mug. So you had that tall head that looked like it was, if I would have kept on pouring, it would have overflowed out of the mug, right? And now it's gone. It's just gone. As soon as it reached like a certain point in the mug, it just dissipated completely. That is so weird. I've never seen anything like that before. I don't know how to explain that. I don't know if it has something to do with pausing while pouring, and if that did something, I don't know. That's weird. Maybe a scientist can explain this, because I'm not a scientist. I'm not a scientist. So anyway, I mean, I would taste the foam, but there is no foam to taste. So now we just get to taste the root beer in the taste test. Thumbs up. Hard to say a lot about this one. The way I would describe the flavor, like, this is one of the most unoffensive root beers I've ever had, if that makes sense. It's a very, very normal flavor. Like, I can't, there's not a whole lot to say. Like, I don't think this would be anyone's favorite root beer, but I definitely don't think that anyone would ever just be like, oh yeah, BJ's. Have you ever had BJ's? And I think that, you know, but also because of that, I have absolutely nothing bad to say about it. It is sweet. It is smooth. I will say, is a very smooth root beer. Not much of a bite to it. It was almost like, I don't want to say creamy, because creamy then makes you think of vanilla, and I don't want to say it's like it's like that, but it was very smooth, very, very smooth. What else? I think that if you were to say anything, it definitely leans towards a more classic taste than leaning more into, like I said, kind of those creamier flavors that a lot of root beers kind of lean into. Just like when I describe something as rooty, think that way. More so, it leans more so that way than just straight up like almost like you know, root beer float like, which I don't want to quite describe it that way. Well, I'm not describing this one that way. I'm saying it's not heavy on the vanilla. It's more heavy on your classic flavors and stuff like that, but with definitely without being like too licoricey and stuff like that. Like I said, it's got that almost like earthy, rooty kind of flavor up front, more so than other flavors. But otherwise, yeah, like I said, there's not a whole lot to get into with this one, because it's very basic, very unoffensive, and it's good. Like, that's, you know, it's hard to get the point across when you're saying something is average. But, like, in this case, average is good, because root beer is good. Therefore, an average root beer is good. So let's get into the letter grade. I wonder what it is. So again, it's not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about this one, because I've already kind of said how I feel about it in the taste test. It is a C. And like, just like I can't even say it's like a high C or a low C or anything like that, because it is middle ground C. It's good. Like no one would ever complain about having this. It's totally fine. What is it? It's I think I've described these kinds of root beers as the platonic ideal of root beer. It's you're never gonna love it, but you know, it's good to have around. So I don't have a whole lot more to say other than that. So yeah, C. You ever see those ghost videos where I know this is extremely off topic, but have you ever seen one of those ghost videos where like someone's doing like an Instagram filter and all of a sudden it like focuses on their shoulder, like as if there's a face there, but there's nothing there? Now, to be fair, I have a bunch of masks behind me, and yes, the focus does like to try to focus in on those faces more so than mine, and I usually have to keep on adjusting it nowadays. But I did have a moment just now where all of a sudden it was like doing that over here in this corner, and I'm like, yeah, there's definitely not a face over there, and that's creepy. But anyway, I hope you like and subscribe and comment and do whatever you like to do to this video. I don't really care. Apparently I'm going to die soon because a ghost is going to kill me. So I hope you had a good time.